Welcome to another exciting chapter in the ever-evolving saga of Formula 1. Today, we're diving into a high-octane rivalry heating up in the tracks, a face-off between the titans of the tarmac, Mercedes and the Red Bull. Mercedes, the 8-time Constructors Champions, a name synonymous with victory, are hitting a rough patch this season. The Silver Arrows, once feared for their relentless pace, are now struggling to keep up with not just Red Bull but also Ferrari and Aston Martin. It's like watching a seasoned sprinter trailing behind in a race. Unexpected, yes, but also a stark reminder that nothing is a given in the world of F1. Amid this high-speed drama, a ripple of suspicion has emerged, and it centers around the upcoming Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. The rumor mills are churning, and at the center of it is Christian Horner, the Red Bull chief. He's cast a shadow of doubt over Mercedes, hinting at some major upgrades that could potentially turn the tables. Yes, you heard it right, folks. We're talking about a significant revamp from the front suspension to the floor and a handful of aerodynamic upgrades that are said to be in the pipeline. But are these whispers of change just that, whispers? Or is there a roar of a comeback waiting to be unleashed by Mercedes? As we venture into this thrilling narrative, let's hear it straight from the horse's mouth. Up next, we bring you Mercedes boss Toto Wolff's take on Horner's suspicions. So buckle up as we gear up for an exciting ride into the heart of this Grand Prix controversy. Mercedes boss Toto Wolff's reaction. So, the man standing tall at the helm of the Mercedes team, Toto Wolff, has something to say about these rumors. He has a message, not just for the fans, but also for the engineers who might be pinning their hopes on these imminent upgrades. Wolff cautions us all, we need to manage our own expectations because we're bringing an update package that's going to consist of new suspension parts and bodywork. But I have never in my 15 years in F1 seen a silver bullet being introduced, where suddenly you unlock a half-a-second performance. That's right, folks, Toto Wolff, a veteran in F1, wants to temper the whirlwind of expectations surrounding these upgrades. Looking deeper at Wolff's statement, it's clear that he's aiming for a balanced perspective. He acknowledges the upcoming changes, but he also brings a healthy dose of realism to the table. In his view, these upgrades, while significant, are not a magic wand that will instantly close the gap with Red Bull. The history of F1, as Wolff rightly points out, has not seen many instances where a single round of upgrades has dramatically turned the tide. It's a game of strategy, skill, and incremental progress, not sudden leaps. In other words, don't expect Mercedes to suddenly start lapping the Red Bull team just because they have a new front suspension and floor. But wait, there's more. Wolff didn't just stop at managing expectations, he went a step further. His response to the swinging speculations is an outright denial that the new parts will provide an immediate solution to Red Bull's dominant start to the campaign. He states, "We are talking so much about the upgrade, but we are not going to put it down on the track and drive circles around Red Bull." There you have it, folks. The Mercedes boss keeps it real and reminds us all that in F1, miracles don't happen overnight. But what does Red Bull think about all of this? Red Bull's stance and the pressure on Mercedes. As we cross over to the Red Bull camp, it's clear that they're watching this unfolding drama with keen eyes. After all, they've been the ones applying the pressure, keeping Mercedes on their toes. Christian Horner, the Red Bull chief, isn't shy about expressing his belief that the impending Mercedes upgrades could potentially narrow the gap between the two teams. In Horner's own words, it's still a long season and they've got a lot of development time available to them. I mean, let's see. I keep hearing massive upgrades from Mercedes are coming and significant ones from Ferrari, so if they do have a B-spec car, then things can change quite quickly. Clearly, Horner isn't ruling out the possibility of a dramatic shift in the F1 landscape. His words suggest a healthy respect for Mercedes' potential to bounce back, reminding us that in this high-speed game, fortunes can flip at the turn of a corner. However, the path ahead isn't entirely smooth for Red Bull either. Last season, they were hit with a 10% reduction in wind tunnel development time for breaching F1's budget cap rules. This handicap could potentially slow down their own pace of innovation, giving rivals like Mercedes an opportunity to play catch-up. As a result, Red Bull might have to think twice about how they allocate their resources and prioritize their upgrades. Homer, even the strategist, is well aware of the challenges that lie ahead. Reflecting on the impact of the budget cap penalty, he comments, "I think you'll see from the next race. I think there are big upgrades coming. We just have to be super selective regarding what we test and how we develop the car. Thankfully, the cars got off to a great start, and therefore we are not having to solve big issues and big problems, so we are able to focus on these incremental gains. But I still expect it to converge later in the year. It's clear that Red Bull is planning to tread carefully, focusing on the most promising enhancements while navigating the tricky terrain of F1 regulations. This cautious approach might also affect their in-season performance, forcing them to strategize and plan their upgrades more meticulously to manage their lead. And so the plot thickens. On the one hand, we have Mercedes striving to regain their top form with significant upgrades, and on the other, Red Bull trying to maintain their lead while overcoming regulatory hurdles and anticipating the moves of their rivals. It's a thrilling spectacle that has all of us on the edge of our seats as both teams battle it out for supremacy on the racetrack. Mercedes Imola upgrades and their expected impact. Zooming back into the Mercedes pit, we got a glimpse of the detailed upgrades stated for the Imola Grand Prix. Among these, the new suspension parts and bodywork are the highlights, designed with the express goal of increasing the car's downforce and expand its working window. It's a tactical move, a quest to optimize performance and regain competitive ground. Toto Wolff, despite his earlier words of caution, harbors a spark of optimism about these changes. His vision? To create a more stable platform for their cars, enabling the team to understand the baseline better and chart out a roadmap for further improvements. Yet he remains grounded in reality, reminding us again, I have never in my 15 years in F1 seen a silver bullet being introduced, where suddenly you unlock a half a second of performance. And then we have Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time Grand Prix winner, whose perspective on the upgrades is equally pragmatic. He acknowledges the uncertainty surrounding these changes, stating, well, it's a bit of an unknown. It's not like I have a 1-second upgrade coming, which is what I need, but it's something. It's a step in the right direction, hopefully, for us to really be able to progress. Indeed, Mercedes upgrades might not be the magic bullet that propels them instantly to the top of the leaderboard. However, they signify a firm commitment to improvement and a willingness to experiment, innovate, and learn. And in a sport where milliseconds make a difference, this relentless pursuit of progress can make all the difference. As we approach the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, the anticipation is electric. Will Mercedes upgrades deliver the much-needed boost, or will Red Bull maintain their dominant streak? Only time will tell. With that being said, we come to an end, and let's quickly recap the key points of the gripping story. Red Bull's suspicion of Mercedes' massive upgrades, Mercedes' denial of any instant performance miracles, and the potential implication of these changes on the team's standing in the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. As the teams gear up for the race, several future scenarios hang in the balance. If the upgrades work as intended, we might witness a resurgence from Mercedes as they edge closer to Red Bull's performance. On the other hand, if the upgrades fail to deliver, the pressure will continue to mount on the Silver Arrows, further fueling this high-stakes rivalry. So what do you think? Will Mercedes upgrades help them close the gap on Red Bull, or will the reigning champions maintain their dominance? Share your thoughts and predictions in the comments below. In conclusion, the excitement surrounding the Mercedes-Red Bull rivalry is one growing as we approach the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. As fans, we can only hope for an epic showdown on the track, with both teams pushing their limits to claim the top step on the podium.